So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh. And then I went on a journey of self-discovery, where I met you.
Is Loki good or bad?
Well, I think
Don't answer that. I don't care.
No.
Glenn!
Hey!
What did we just see?
We just saw
We
a thing!
Oh, yeah!
We just saw Thor, Ragnarok.
Directed by Taika Waititi.
Mm-hmm. Thor goes back to Asgard, man. He's there. You know what happens? He gets into some trouble, man. And you know who's involved?
Loki?
Freaking Loki.
That
Does
Loki.
this sound like a few movies we've
That
seen before?
Loki.
But, hey, there's sisters involved named Hela. Oh, wow. There's a whole family affair going on here, guys. And you know who else is involved? Because once they all get into a little bit of trouble, our boy Hulk's around. He's hanging, he's lurking, he's on a different planet, and now they are too. And you know what? They have to figure out how to end all the undecency that is Hela. Thor Ragnarok.
I like to think that is the official synopsis that Marvel put out.
They have to have that shitty accent on the whole time, too.
Yeah, this is the third Thor movie, the 1 millionth Marvel movie,
Mm-hmm.
the 32nd Avengers movie.
Oh.
If you watch these videos or you know me personally, you know how I feel about Marvel movies. Or it's just superhero movies in general. I'm real tired of them.
You?
Yeah.
God, to think, I thought you were Mike Hicks. Well, then you also know me, who also loves comic books, at least most of them. A good portion. What I actually really did like about this, for one, definitely the soundtrack. Me loves
It started off with the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of ended as well. In a way, it kind of ended as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than that, the rest of the soundtrack
Yeah.
was the whole, like, I guess, what is it, 80s electronic, like...
Yeah, that whole fad thing.
It's like,
with...
it was like a He-Man movie in a way. A really good He-Man movie.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. You know, there's things I liked about this movie. At the end of the day, it is overall just another superhero movie. But there was a lot more I liked about it than other previous superhero movies. Mark Ruffalo was at his best as Hulk, like any other movie that he's the Hulk in, which he doesn't really get much screen time in, like the Avengers movies and all and whatnot. But like he was fantastic in this. You could see that like he went like really, not in, he had fun with it. I feel he had fun as the Hulk with this, and you know, I love Taika Waititi. We reviewed one of his other movies, Hunt for the Wilder People, last year. And he is just a fantastic director. In my opinion, the best director out of New Zealand. Sorry, Peter Jackson. And more consistent. Obviously,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is Lord of the Rings. But like he's more consistent with his movies. And I'm just really excited for Americans who may not quite know who he is to learn who he is. Because I'm pretty sure if I were to sit in a room with him for an hour, I would die from laughter.
I guess the best reasons why that movie, I guess, was as good as it was is just him alone, really.
There's just this really dry, like calm sense of humor.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi did not write the script. It was written by someone else. But you could tell that he had like little inputs and all that, or at least was there with rewrites and kind of put his own comedy into it. Because it was just, there was so much of this movie that reminded me of like Hunt for the Wilder People, What We Do in the Shadows, to a lesser extent Boy, just because that one's kind of sad at times.
Absolutely excellent choice, because Thor's last two movies,
they were too dark and brooding, I felt.
This was definitely the turn that Thor needed.
I don't remember who directed the second one, but Kenneth Branagh directed the first one. And Kenneth Branagh, while a great director, certainly at times takes himself too seriously. You take Marvel out of it. You take, like, just forget that Hulk is a Marvel character. If it was just a giant green monster thing, it is still just a good movie. Like, there's not much about Marvel that adds to this in a way. You know, it's just a good movie on its own. It doesn't really have anything to do. I mean, it's obviously part of the cinematic universe for Marvel, but like, if it wasn't, it would still be a good movie.
And I think that's definitely a good reason why Taika Waititi also had a great hand in it there. Because it felt like more one of his movies than just like a Marvel movie.
Exactly. And in fact, like my least favorite parts about it were the parts that seemed a little too much like Marvel, and it didn't feel like Taika Waititi.
Yeah, like I guess we could kind of dwell into the bad, what we didn't really like to it. For me, it was mainly Kate Blanchett's parts. Like when it got to her, it was just a totally, obviously it should be, but it like a totally different tone, and it kind of took me away from it. From like all the fun that I was having, it was just like it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like
she was the dark and brooding aspect that was from the previous two movies, and you know I think Taika Waititi did a good job at cutting away from her to not like just be too heavy-handed with her. Not Kate Blanchett's great. She was great as Hela, but it was just the tonal shift. Just felt like a completely different movie at times.
I mean, he did do a like great job of cutting away before you felt like, all right, this is getting
where
too
it
much.
just got too brooding and too,
brooding.
There's
like one thing like that kind of bothered me, like during the Gladiator thing with Thor and Hulk. Hulk's obviously the strongest Avenger, as they literally tell in the movie. But he was basically getting his ass whooped by Thor most of the movie. Yeah, it's a Thor movie, but are they equally matched? Is Thor stronger? I'm still unaware, because that's what Marvel does.
That's one of the complaints I have about superhero movies is there's no risk, you know?
Yeah.
When they went to fight, I was like, oh, they're going to be friends at some point. And they were friends at some point. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of adorable.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the best part is that this movie definitely showered all the really bad parts with really funny moments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, like, I know I'm jumping into it at least, like, super early, but it's definitely a see it for me just because of the comedy alone.
Glenn, I would disagree with you on one thing. It's not too early.
Okay.
It's actually a good time to talk about it. I would say see it too, just because I know most people aren't like me. I understand. I wouldn't say I'm cynical about superhero movies, but I'm very aware of how other people feel about superhero movies. So I would say see it just on that standpoint, you know, throw you guys a bone there.
And if you're wondering, like, the kind of, I guess, ranking of where this movie should lie between all the Marvel movies, well, that's not what I meant. Get that fucking out of here. What I meant was, like, at least, like, ranking in Marvel movies where this would stand, like, where you should see it. I'd probably, like, at least above Guardians 2. At least.
I would definitely say that. For me, personally, I would say it's above Guardians 1 as well.
I'd probably have to see Guardians.
But that's mainly because I love Taika Waititi. Yeah. If anything, see it for Taika Waititi. Learn who he is. See his other movies, because he's a great director. And he's just one of the funniest people out there, really. He's really funny. So yeah, see it.
So yeah, if you didn't like Guardians, you'll most likely like Thor.
And as always, you know, go see it for yourself. Make your own opinion. Don't let us tell you what to do. We don't control your lives.
We're just a bunch of schmucks.
We're a bunch of schmucks.
You guys are the fluffers.
You're the fluffers. We're the schmucks.
Stroke whatever you want. We're here for you.
Stroke your own opinion.
If you don't get that joke, go watch Suburbicon.
Watch a Suburbicon review and you'll get the fluffer.
That's not even us trying to lead you there. Just go to that joke.
Just go.
Here we go! I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death. What were you the god of again?
Do you think the Hulk has a constant erection?